Hello, my name is Rosalind Nyanongo, a licensed professional counselor and covenant crisis therapist at Living Water Family Therapy in Round Rock, Texas. And you are watching Living Water for Real Life, a podcast for women in covenant crisis and weary mamas. And today we are going to be talking about the importance of dating your spouse. You know, yesterday, my husband and we went out on a date, and it dawned on me how important this is, and that you have to truly be intentional about scheduling time with your spouse. It's so easy to get caught up in work, life, family, kids, chores, and all the other things that we have to do as women. And um and so that's the reason why it just dawned on me yesterday. I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna get on this podcast and I'm gonna tell them about the importance of dating their spouse. And I'm gonna tell you about a really fun date that me and my husband had yesterday. So I normally don't do this, but I'll share a little bit about me. I'm a mom of two. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. They just turned um, a year older 2 weeks ago. Their birthdays are one day apart. And so, in between the chaos of planning a joint kids party, we were also just getting back from a trip and just a whole lot of other things that we were doing, including work and home life and all these other things. And, we really don't have a lot of free time together. And that's the reason why I told my husband, I said, okay, babe, I need you to pick a day that you're going to take off during the week. And I am too. And we're going to drop the kids off at school and we're going to go on a day date. Why? Because we don't have time to go out on night dates. And we also don't have anyone to watch the kids at night. So why don't we go out on a day date? So that's what we did. And we picked this really cute restaurant in downtown Austin that had a rooftop, and we had a nice lunch, and it was super chill. And I was sitting there like, why is it we don't do this more often? Why is it we're not making time for each other? Um, and then I was like, you know what? These other women need to hear this. And it doesn't have to be something crazy like, going out to like a really fancy restaurant or whatnot, because maybe you don't have time for that. Or maybe finances are a factor. Um, and so there are other things you can do too. So after we left the restaurant, we went and we got some ice cream, and then we went home and we just watched a movie on our couch alone with no kids. Can you believe it? It was crazy, but it was so needed. It was really, really refreshing for us. And like I said, I realized how valuable that time is. And so yeah, and like, and even whenever I'm in my practice, I tell my couples particularly, especially, if they're just going through stuff and life is life in and they got work and kids and this, that, and the other, make time for each other. Date each other. Just because you get married doesn't mean that you're not supposed to date each other. I hear so many couples saying, oh, I miss them. I miss the way we used to do this. I miss the way we used to go out. I miss how we used to go on trips. Pack the kids up and take them on the trip too. You know, make some wonderful family memories, and then wear those kids out during the daytime. Pick all the activities, and then after the kids go to bed, maybe y'all go and sit in the hotel room. You know, in a quiet corner, because I know we can't leave the kids in there. But maybe there's a balcony that y'all can go on. Go sit out on the balcony and talk and reconnect. Or maybe if you're at home, um, after the kids are gone to bed, watch a movie together, do some board games, things that you and your spouse used to love to do that maybe y'all don't do anymore. Be intentional about the relationship and the time that y'all have together. Another thing that I encourage couples to do is to cook together. Cooking is a really fun way to get reconnected and to ultimately try some new things. Y'all can teach each other stuff. Maybe one is into baking. Maybe somebody else really likes cooking. I was watching a YouTube video the other day about people making pasta together. That's a fun thing to do. Find different ways that you can connect. If y'all like being outdoors, go on a walk together. After the kids go to bed, take a quick circle around the block together. And just find time for each other. Another thing that me and my husband used to do before we had kids that we really don't do anymore, and I'm like, why don't we do that anymore? Is we used to play video games together. And that was something that was really fun. So we'll probably get back into that. And also doing a picnic. We used to do indoor picnics where we would lay a blanket out on the floor, and we would get little snacks, and we would have a picnic in the living room and watch a silly show or watch a movie together. And that's fun. Um, just find different ways to connect. It doesn't have to be something that's really expensive or even long and drawn out. It doesn't have to be like that. As long as it's fun, as long as it's intentional, and as long as y'all are spending time together, then that's all that really matters. I had a good friend tell me that that she and her husband enjoy going on day trips together. Sometimes they'll drop their kids off at school and take a day off from work, or even like on the weekend, if they have a family member, or even bring the kids along too. Go on a day trip somewhere and make it a family outing, and be intentional about holding each other's hands and hugging each other. Another thing I like to tell my couples is be intentional about non-sexual touch, holding hands, giving gentle kisses, maybe a gentle touch on the shoulder or even on the arm, a foot massage, a hand massage. Little things that you can do just to show that you care and that you're being mindful of your partner. Um, and what their needs are is can be really special and tender. Um, you know, One thing that I've heard another young woman say is that, oh, he used to write me poetry. He used to do songs and all this stuff, but he doesn't do that anymore. Well, I mean, then why don't you write him a song? Why don't you write him some poetry and see if y'all can reignite things that way? um, because once the fire kind of burns down, sometimes it can be difficult to light it back up, and it's not impossible. I think that the challenge whenever you're going through different transitions within a relationship, because a relationship has three phases. It has the beginning phase, which is the infatuation stage, where you're all in love, and you're Twitter pated, as they would say, and you're just like fawning over each other all the time. And then you kind of hit this bump where it's like it's something kind of shifts. Y'all have some sort of conflict where it's like either y'all work through it and y'all come out stronger on the other end, or y'all have the conflict, and then the relationship fizzles out, and then breakup happens. But whenever a relationship gets through that conflict and they come out the other side, then what happens is the relationship deepens, and and then the trust and the bonds intensify. And so whenever I do my couples work, I ask them constantly, well, where are your embers? What are the reasons that you fell in love with each other? And what is fueling that now? Because even if the fire is not heavy like it used to be, that doesn't mean that it's not there anymore. It just means that maybe you just have to ignite it again. And so things like being intentional about dating, um, you know, non-sexual touch, hugging each other, being intentional about kissing each other. Those are things to help nurture those embers. Um, and and even scheduling sex. I know that sex can be a very embarrassing and touchy topic for couples, and even in couples therapy, sometimes people don't like talking about them. And it's important to schedule sex, because if you don't, then it doesn't happen. I know that a lot of people say that oh, well, it'll just happen organically. It'll just happen. The more that we just end up doing life and this, that, and the other, then it'll just happen. No, sex does not does not just happen, because there's work, there's kids, there's school, you're tired, maybe you're on your period, whatever, he's working late, you're working. I mean, there are a slew of reasons why sex doesn't happen. But just because it doesn't happen maybe as naturally as it used to, does not mean that it's not important. Sex is a very important and integral part of the marriage that God created. And what it does is it helps unify, and it helps solidify that marital bond and the connection. And so that's the reason why I even encourage my couples that if it feels safe enough, I encourage them to continue to have sex even whenever there's conflict in the marriage, because what that does is it creates an opportunity to offer comfort to each other if it's safe enough. Now, mind you, if it's a domestic violence situation, there's infidelity, whatnot, then those are different situations that need to be addressed. But I'm saying if there is just like stress, maybe there's like some minor conflict that does not involve other parties and whatnot, then yes, I do still encourage couples to still make that intentional time to be physically intimate with each other. Um, and so basically, what I'm saying to sum this up is there's always a reason not to spend some time together, but there's always reasons to spend time together. And life is better when we do it together. So, with that being said, I encourage you to find one way that you can connect with your partner or your spouse today, whether it be giving them a non sexual touch, whether it be a hug, a gentle caress on the arm, or maybe it's just holding somebody's hand, holding their hand, or just being intentional about kissing them in the morning whenever you're leaving or whenever they're leaving, or even just, oh, like, I love you, or I'll see you later. Just being really intentional and mindful with your words can also be really helpful to help nurture the relationship in the marriage. Um, and it is okay to ask for that time away from the kids to nurture the marriage. Um, if you have a support system, use those people that love you and your children to watch your children so that you can spend some quality time with your spouse. Hire a sitter so that y'all can go out on date night. Or even like have your friend take the kids out so that you and your spouse can be at home and maybe get a few hours together. But whatever you do, find some intentional time to carve out for you and your marriage. And so, if this episode was helpful for you, I encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe, and to share with another woman or couple who could benefit. Episodes of Living Water for Real Life can be found on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Just search Living Water for Real Life. And if you are in the Texas area or in Round Rock or Austin and would like to work with me, I am accepting new clients in my Round Rock office. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great week. Bye bye.